I'm Lakshmi Prasanna, Assistant Professor, Department of ECE, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Welcome to the lecture series of image processing. In this session, we will discuss about subband coding. So, let us see introduction regarding this subband coding. Here, what is meant by this subband coding, where it will be used, all these things we will learn in this introduction. So this subband coding is the important imaging technique in multi-resolution analysis. This is called subband coding. So this subband coding is used one of the important imaging technique in order to analyze multi-resolution. So what is happening in this subband coding means, in this subband coding, the original image will be decomposed into some set of band limited components. So the original image will be divided into several subbands and each band size will be band limited. Those are called subbands, which can be reassembled to reconstruct the original image without any error. So the original image will be divided into subbands. Each subband size will be limited. And if we rearrange all the subbands, again it should form the original image and it should be error free. So this subband coding is generally developed for some applications like speech and image compression. So here in this image compression, we are using this subband coding. So each subband is generated by bandpass filtering. So the input will be given to the bandpass filter and that bandpass filter is going to divide that into several limited subbands. So since the bandwidth of the resulting subbands is smaller, so after dividing the original image into several subbands, each subband size will be limited. Due to that reason, we will not have any errors. The subbands can be downsampled without loss of information. So initially, each subband will be downsampled with some downsampling factor without any loss of information. After performing downsampling, next again for reconstructing the original image, we are going to perform upsampling, then filtering and summing all the individual subbands in order to generate the original output. So this is how subband coding works. So initially, original image will be divided into several subbands. So original image, in order to get subbands, we used to have bandpass filter there. After getting into several subbands, we used to use downsampler in order to compress the image. After that, again, decompression should be done in order to get the original image without loss of information. So for decompression, upsampling should be applied along with filters and the outputs that are coming from all the subbands should be summed, should be combined in order to form the original image. So here, this is the figure we have to consider, which shows a two-band filter bank for one-dimensional subband coding and decoding. For coding here, we can see downsampler is used. For decoding, upsampler will be used. So the input of the system is one-dimensional. So here it is considered as x of n, that is one-dimensional image which is input. And band limited discrete time signal x of n will be divided into two subbands. The two subbands are here y0 of n and y1 of n. So here the original image is divided into two subbands, y0 of n and y1 of n. And so here during this process different filters are used. So we can see here h of n is one type of filter, and we can see here g of n or another type of filters. So several filters are used here. What is this h0 of n and h1 of n means? This h0 of n and h1 of n are called analysis filters, whereas this g0 of n and g1 of n or another type of filters, they are called synthesis filters. So two types of filters are used in this subbands. One is analysis filters and second one is synthesis filters. So the filters h0 of n and h1 of n, that is analysis filters, they are half band digital filters whose ideal transfer characteristics are h0 and h1. So these filters ideal characteristics are represented as h0 and h1. So we can see here. Okay. So h0 is the low pass filter whose output is an approximation of x of n, whereas h1 is the high pass filter whose output is high frequency, which is for the input x of n. So the main intention is here, this is x of n, which is the original image. After compressing and decompressing, we are going to get the output x cap of n. So after performing this operation, the output x cap of n, what we are getting, should be equal to the input x of n. So for this figure, the spectrum is represented here. We can see this is h0 of omega. So here h0 is the low pass filter. So we can see this is h0 of omega. If we see the characteristics, these characteristics are similar to low pass filter. And so this is h1 of omega. So this h1 is high pass filter. If we see this spectrum starting from here, this shows high pass filter characteristics. So this is the spectrum splitting properties. And here this pi by 2 is the range of frequencies from 0 to pi omega. Now, so let us see the mathematical analysis related to this subband coding. So here we have considered x of n as the input image, h of n and g of n are the filters. So initially x of n will be there, it has to pass through all the filters. During that, the downsampling and upsampling is applied. Then the outputs of each subband will be combined, and the output what we are getting is x cap of n. So this entire concept, we are going to apply some sort of mathematical analysis here. So the Z transform of the sequence x of n for n is equal to 0, 1, 2 can be represented as, that means here x of n is the input. The Z transform for the input x of n can be written as, so x of z is equal to sigma n is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of n z power minus n. So this is the representation of Z transform for the input x of n. Next, after considering x of n, we are going to apply downsampling and upsampling. We have seen downsampling and upsampling in the block diagram, the previous block diagram. You can see downsampling and upsampling is done by a factor 2. So considering this, perform downsampling by a factor 2 in time domain, and it corresponds to the simple Z domain operation. So in order to represent this, it can be expressed in the mathematical equation like x down of n, as we are applying downsampler, x down of n is equal to x of 2n. So here this 2 represents the downsampling factor is equal to x down of z. So we are representing that in form of z transform 1 by 2 of x of z power 1 by 2 plus x of minus z power 1 by 2. So consider this is equation number 2. Now, so after downsampling, next for decompression, we are going to apply upsampling. Even that upsampling also we are considering factor 2. So upsampling again by a factor 2 by the transform pair, it can be represented as x up of n. So this up represents applying the upsampler is equal to x of n by 2 for n is equal to 0, 2, 4, so on. So the difference is here 2. Why? Because here it is upsampled by a factor 2 and 0 otherwise. Okay. So this expression, if we apply Z transform like this for downsampler, similarly for upsampler, if we apply Z transform, it can be represented as x up of Z is equal to x of Z square. So consider this is equation number 3. Now, if the sequence x of n we have seen in the block diagram, initially x of n will be downsampled and then it will be upsampled in order to get the output x cap of n. Now, if we combine these two equations, like downsampling and upsampling equation, which is represented as 2 and 3, then we can write the expression. So, combining equation number 2 and equation number 3, we will get x cap of n, and it can be represented in terms of Z transform like x cap of Z. So output is x cap of n. Z transform, if we convert, it will be x cap of Z is equal to 1 by 2 x of Z plus x of minus Z. So consider this is equation number 4. Now, so we have to consider this equation number 4. Okay. So look at this equation number 4. By considering that equation number 4, we can express the system output. So here we know the system output is represented as x cap of n and Z transform for this is x cap of Z. So considering that equation number 4, the system output x cap of Z can be written as x cap of Z is equal to 1 by 2 G naught of Z into H naught of Z x of Z plus H naught of minus Z into x of minus Z plus the next term 1 by 2 G1 of Z H1 of Z into x of Z plus H1 of minus Z into x of minus Z. So consider this is equation number 5. So here we have some terms related to x of Z and some terms related to x of minus Z. So let us rearrange this equation 5 by making all x of Z terms at one place and x of minus Z terms as one term. So just rearranging this equation number 5, we can write this as x cap of Z is equal to 1 by 2. So bring this first term x of Z outside. So we will get H naught of Z into G naught of Z plus H1 of Z into G1 of Z into X of Z plus. Now let us write the second term by making this X of minus Z terms as the second term. 1 by 2 into H naught of minus Z into G naught of Z plus H1 of minus Z into G1 of Z into X of minus Z. So just we have written X of Z terms and X of minus Z terms separately. So consider this is equation number 6. Now, so for error-free reconstruction, so what is meant by error-free reconstruction? When we say that there is no error, if the input X of n is equal to X cap of n, that is output, if the input is equal to output, then we say that it is error-free reconstruction. Or if we speak about in terms of Z domain, if X cap of Z is equal to X of Z, that is output is equal to input, then we say that it is error-free reconstruction. So for this error-free reconstruction, in order to make X of n is equal to X cap of n, let us consider some conditions. So here what are the conditions means? So the conditions are, consider H naught of minus Z into G of Z plus H1 of minus Z into G1 of Z is equal to 0. So this is one condition. So it is H naught and G naught, those two are filters, what we have seen in the block diagram. And the second condition is H naught of Z into G naught of Z plus H1 of Z into G1 of Z is equal to 2. So we have to follow these conditions to make error-free reconstruction. So consider this is equation number 7 and equation number 8. So here we have two equations, that is 7 and 8. It can be represented in the form of matrix. So equation 7 and equation 8 can be represented in form of matrix. So let us represent now. Here G naught of Z into G1 of Z. Okay. So this is into HM of Z is equal to 2, 0. So this is how we have to represent in terms of matrix, and consider the equation number as 9. So let us know what is this HM of Z. So this HM of Z is analysis modulation matrix, and it can be represented as HM of Z is equal to H naught of Z, H naught of minus Z, H1 of Z and H1 of minus Z. So this is the modulation matrix of HM of Z. So consider this is equation number 10. And now assuming this HM of Z, that is equation number 10, which is HM of Z, is non-singular, then from equation number 9, it becomes, so we can write equation number 9 by considering equation number 10 as G naught of Z into G naught of Z and Z1 of Z is equal to 2 by det HM of Z H1 of minus Z minus H naught of minus Z. This is equation number 11. Now, for finite impulse response, that is for FIR filters, the determinant of the modulation matrix is a pure delay. Here, so this is the determinant, it is having a pure delay. So for finite impulse, the pure delay, considering this pure delay, it can be represented, the determinant can be represented as det of hm of z. So this is the value, det of hm of z is equal to alpha z power minus zk plus 1. So it is the determinant value of hm of z is represented in terms of delay, that is alpha, and we have made that equation as 12. Now consider different values of alpha. So here there is a delay. Let us consider different values of alpha. So the exact form of cross modulation is a function of alpha. We have seen just now that equation. And ignoring that delay, consider different values of alpha. First case, alpha is equal to 2. And consider second case, alpha is equal to minus 2. So if alpha is equal to 2, it can be written as g naught of n is equal to minus 1 whole power n into h1 of n, and g1 of n is equal to minus 1 power n plus 1 into h naught of n. So for alpha is equal to 2, consider these equations as 13. And here we have another value of alpha considered, that is alpha is equal to minus 2. So for alpha is equal to minus 2, same. In order to write this g naught of n and g1 of n, it is minus 1 whole power n plus 1 into h1 of n minus 1 whole power n into h naught of n. So for alpha is equal to minus 2, these are the two equations. So let it be equation number 14. So the equations till now what we have written, so all that equations are used to demonstrate the bi-orthogonality of the analysis and synthesis filters, that is h naught of n or h1 of n or g naught of n or g1 of n. So all these equations are used to demonstrate the bi-orthogonality of such filters. So let P of z is the product of low pass analysis and synthesis filter transfer functions, that is h of n and g of n. P of z is the product of those two. So let us write how that equation P of z look like. So here P of z is equal to g naught of z into h naught of z. So P of z is the product of analysis and synthesis filter. So analysis and synthesis filter we have represented as g naught of z and h naught of z, and P of z is the product of these two. So we can write this in terms of that determinant formula what we have written in the previous equation, that is 2 by det hm of z into h naught of z into h1 of minus z. Okay. So name equation number 15. So we have written P of z. Similarly, let us write P of minus z. So similarly, so in order to write P of minus z, it is also the product of analysis and synthesis filter, and it can be represented as g1 of z into h1 of z. So similarly, let us write that in this form of equation number 15 as minus 2 by det hm of z into h naught of minus z into h1 of z. So let it be equation number 15. So as we know, g of z into h naught of z plus g naught of minus z into h naught of minus z is equal to 2. That is from the matrix. As we know this condition, by applying the inverse z transform for this equation number 70, it can be written as sigma k g naught of k into h naught of n minus k plus minus 1 whole power n sigma k g naught of k into h naught of n minus k, which is equal to 2 del of n. So consider this is equation number 80. Now, so considering this equation number 18, from this equation, all the odd index terms will get cancelled and we can represent the equation after cancelling all the odd index terms. We can represent that equation as sigma k g naught of k into h naught of 2n minus k is equal to g naught of k h naught of 2n minus k, which is equal to del of n. So consider this is equation number 90. So now expressing this g naught and h naught as a function of g1 and h1, we can write some equations like g1 of k comma h1 of 2n minus k is equal to del of m, and another equation g naught of k comma h1 of 2n minus k is equal to 0. So expressing g naught and h naught as a function of g1 and h1, and another one g1 of k comma h naught of 2n minus k is equal to 0. So all these are the conditions. Consider this is equation number 20. So how we got all these equations means by expressing this g naught and h naught as a functions of g1 and h1. So here we have to consider different filter banks in order to satisfy the conditions that are by orthogonal. Now, so here we can see the table. It is a perfect reconstruction filter families. So if you see here, the first column, it consists of filters. So in the block diagram, what we have considered, two types of filters are there. As the block diagram is having two subbands, it consists of filters like h naught of z and h1 of z, and g naught of z and g1 of z. And here the second column, QMF, it is the sort of filters here. So QMF represents quadrature mirror filtering, and the third column represents another type of filters, that is CQF. So CQF is the conjugate quadrature filtering, and the last one represents orthonormal filters. So all these are the perfect reconstruction filter families. That means we are going to reconstruct the output same as the input without any loss, that is error. Now, so here this is another block diagram like previously what we have seen. This is another block diagram which includes two-dimensional. So previous slides we have seen one-dimensional, that is x of n, having two subbands, that is y naught of n and y1 of n. So here we are considering two-dimensional input and a four-band filter bank for subband image coding. So this is previously it is x of n, one dimensional. So here you can see x of m comma n, which is two-dimensional input, and it is divided into two subband, that is subband 1 and subband 2. So it is having filters H0 of m and H1 of m, and it will be downsampled by a factor 2. After that, the output what we are going to get here, again that is divided into two subbands. So here this is subband 1, 2. So 1 is divided into 1 and 2 again, and this is subband 2 is divided into 1 and 2 again. And here we are using filters like H0 of n, H1 of n, H0 of n and H1 of n. After that, again we can see here downsamplers are used, and the output what we are going to get, as it is having 4 bands, 4 outputs we are going to get. The 4 outputs are A of m comma n, d power p of m comma n, d power h of m comma n, and d power d of m comma n. So what is this v, h and d represents means the type of output what we are getting. So A of m comma n is the approximation output, and d power v of m comma n is the vertical detail output, and dh of m comma n is the horizontal detail output, and d power d m comma n is the diagonal detail output. So from this block diagram, what we can say, one or more of these subbands can be split into 4 smaller subbands, which can split again and so on. So if we consider these are again inputs, if we want again, these can be divided into different subbands. Now, so here this figure represents the impulse responses of 4 8-tap orthonormal filters. So how we have drawn all these impulse responses means, based on the equations what we have derived under this subband coding concept. So this is the impulse response for H0 of n and H1 of n, G0 of n and G1 of n. So these 4 impulse responses are drawn based on the equations what we have derived just now for this H0 of n, H1 of n, G0 of n and G1 of n. So here we have considered an example in order to show this subband coding. Like we have seen this 4-band coding like in this figure. So the outputs of all these 4 bands are approximation, vertical detail, horizontal detail and diagonal detail. So let us see all these 4 types in this figure. So here we have considered the image whose size is of 512 by 512, and it is a image of the vase which is shown in the figure, and each quadrant of this image is subband whose size is of 256 by 256. So as we have learned, the original image size will be this 512 by 512, and this particular size of image will be divided into different subbands. Each subband size will be limited. In this example, the subband size is 256 by 256. So here this is the picture of the vase which shows the approximation output. So here, which is coming from this subband, okay, and here this figure shows the horizontal detail. So the horizontal detail means which is coming from this band, and here this figure shows the vertical detail, and this vertical detail which is coming from this band, that picture will be coming from this band. And the last one, this is the image which represents the diagonal detail. That means the diagonal detail picture can be observed from this band. So this is the 4-band split of the waves using subband coding system. So the content of this subband coding we have taken from the textbook Digital Image Processing, 2nd edition, which is written by Rafael C. Gonzalez. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.